family lead you to law enforcement, or what exactly led you to a career in law enforcement?
No? Is it saying on? Can you hear me? This is going to be an interesting story. So I actually did not have dreams to be a law enforcement officer. I came on the job as a vet. Someone told me that I couldn't do it, and I told them I bet I can. So here I am 20 plus years later, and I am, very happy, and I know that this was the career that I was supposed to have. I came in as a vet, but the minute that I started the police academy, it felt like a home away from home, and I knew it was a calling for me. And I knew that I would be very happy in this profession to be a public servant.
So did you patrol and work in the streets?
Started off as a student police officer, became a police officer, citywide patrol, had an opportunity to go to a lot of different bureaus. I will tell you, for my career path, I worked somewhere different every 2 years. I made it a point to kind of move around and learn different parts of the department, and I think that really gave me the edge when it came time to not only test to be promoted, but to also take a challenge such as this, to be the chief of police for Columbus.
Well, thank you for accepting that bet in the call. We are so fortunate that you won the bet. Colonel Fambro, what about you? I saw your face light up when I asked the question.
Proud Columbus Public Schools product. So, actually, to be honest, I wanted to be an attorney. And one thing led to another. I was a student at OSU. I was working a full-time job and got put on academic probation, and was trying to figure out what was going to be next. I knew that everything that I did on my rudimentary Gantt chart had to do with working with people. And I heard an advertisement for the Columbus Division of Police, believe it or not, and drove down to the City Safety Building over on Marconi, and got off the elevator and said, man, I don't know that I could police the communities that I grew up in. So jumped back on the elevator before the doors closed, and happened to be talking to a friend several weeks later that was part of the Highway Patrol, and I really never even seen a trooper other than seeing them at the fair when I was sneaking in over the fence. But one thing led to another, and he pitched this organization to me, and I knew right away the ability to work independently, to take care of yourself, be physically fit, and to go back and do something that few people get the opportunity to do. And once I joined, I knew it was for me. And I had a lot of mentors along the way that invested in me to help me achieve various opportunities within the agency. So that's how I came.
So I have a similar story as Chief Bryant. So I am a 1993 The Ohio State University graduate. So after I graduated, I was working for people who graduated from OSU, traffic and parking. Traffic and parking was the agency or the entity at the university where you had to come if your vehicle had been impounded or if you had to pay some parking tickets. So I was responsible for customer service and dealing with individuals who had to come get their vehicle. In addition to that, I was also a cashier at the Kroger's at 7th and High. So I think people know that area and they know the store. So while working at traffic and parking, my best friend at the time, Kathy Emerson Johnson, we were both working at traffic and parking, and there was an officer by the name of Scott Tipton who would make his rounds. He was an OSU police officer, and he would come over and check on us because he knew we had to deal with people who had to pay parking tickets or get their car impounded. And he had mentioned to Kathy and I that, had you ever thought about going into law enforcement? And Kathy and I were both like, no. She's from Dayton, Ohio. My hometown is Akron, Ohio. And at the time, all I knew about law enforcement was Charlie's Angels. So I was just like, no. And so each time he would come and check on us and say, I really think you two would do really well in law enforcement. And we were just like, no. And so he started telling us the benefits each time, the community engagement piece, serving the public, and each time words of wisdom. And so it was a Friday he had stopped by, and it was a Friday that Kathy and I had just got paid. And so we were looking at our checks and realized, like, we gotta figure something else out. And so he started talking, and he was telling us all about the benefits. And he said 401k. I thought he said $400, and I was like, where do we sign up? So that was my introduction into law enforcement. Similar to Chief Bryant, Kathy and I were both city girls. And so for us to go to the police academy, to be on the driving range, you know, firearms, DT, it was like a challenge. And each step that we progressed, we were like, we can do this. And so, Lord and behold, we completed the academy and we graduated. And so, two women who probably wasn't the ideal for law enforcement, we were able to get on the House and University Police Division.
So, were any of you discouraged by family or friends and tried to get you to shy away from a career in law enforcement, Chief Bryant?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you know, as you're growing up and you know, I grew up in a very urban neighborhood, and a lot of my friends were into different things. And so when they found out that I was going to be law enforcement, I stopped getting invited to a lot of parties. I stopped getting invited to a lot of things, and even a couple of my family members kind of shied away from me a little bit, but I was okay with it. I knew that this is what I wanted to do once I started the police academy.
So did any of you, did either of you experience any changes in your close relationships or put a strain on your relationships?
No, my mom cried, because I was afraid of the police growing up. She replaced a lot of screens. Anytime I heard sirens, I would run home and dive through the screens. She cried when I told her I was going to join the highway patrol. So, but she's good now. You know, we all got family that you have to shy away from, and that's not a problem, but you understand that when you take this step, it's different, and you have to accept that some of the relationships that you have, while you want them to be as genuine and as positive as they can be, sometimes you have to take a step away, because we have rules and regulations that promulgate what it means to be in this position.
Because me and my best friend were together, I had that support, but my parents were definitely worried. You know, my mom was concerned, are you going to be safe? Are you well trained? And so just reassuring, you know, my parents, my father had a talk with my first FTO, my field training officer, and told him don't let nothing happen to her. And so just that overprotective, you know, father and mother, they were just really concerned about.
Would you all have those same fears or concerns if one of your children decided to go into law enforcement as a career? What would your thoughts be? And if we can make sure that we speak directly into the microphone.
My son doesn't like rules, so he's an entrepreneur and likes to make money, and this is, you know, you don't go into this for money. So no, I wouldn't discourage him. I asked him, you know, if it was something he would consider. I never pressured him. You have to want to do this. It's a lifestyle change, and for him, it wasn't for him. He's in the business community, so.
And Colonel, would you share with us what exactly does the Ohio State, the patrol, for the highway patrol, what jurisdiction do you have? What does that entail for the viewers who are watching who are unsure what exactly that means?
Sure, we have statewide jurisdiction on all state-owned or leased properties. Primarily, we patrol the highways, but we come into cities and assist with anything that the city may need to collaborate with us on, or we need to collaborate with them. We would go issue football games, but primarily traffic enforcement. But troopers contact about 1.2 million people each year by way of traffic stops. And when you think about being a force multiplier, we want to interdict drugs and bad people before they get to your cities. And we're really good at that. We've got a great group of people that are committed to doing that, and we're all in.
So what type of interaction, if any, would you have with Chief Bryant? You shared for Chief Spears McNatt, it would be for the OSU games, which we're all familiar with. What type of interaction would you have with Chief Bryant and CPD?
We do all kinds of initiatives. We did an initiative here on the east side here several months ago. You don't see troopers every day because we're out on the highways and byways, but when you see troopers come into your neighborhoods, we have a motto, and it's service with respect. We come in and we assist, whether it's traffic enforcement or we have people on plainclothes details, we have people that protect the governor, we have people that are actually involved in task force operations. So we're a multifaceted force multiplier, not just for the cities, but township departments and smaller agencies that may not have the resources. And what we bring to bear are all of those resources when we come. We have an aviation unit, motorcycle unit, all kinds of units that give people job redesign opportunities. And I will say that we are recruiting. We need women and minorities, so I'll leave that for them.
Chief Spears McNatt and Chief Bryant, what type of interactions do your agencies have between each other?
Well, I will tell you that we work very closely with Ohio State University and the officers, because obviously we know that with crime, it does not have any boundaries. Just like the Colonel said, we have to make sure that we are working very closely to not only prevent crime, but to solve cases, and even with the community interaction. So we have a joint effort where we have actually Ohio State officers, Ohio State University officers that work with Columbus Police, and they patrol together in that particular neighborhood to prevent crime. So we work very closely with them.
So, I agree with Chief Bryant. We have a really good working relationship, and it probably a day doesn't go by where we're not in constant contact with Columbus Police Division or someone from our leadership team. We are a city within a city, and we do sit in the city of Columbus, and so what impacts the city impacts Ohio State, and what impacts Ohio State impacts the city. And so with us having students who live in the University District, having that relationship with Columbus Police Division when something may occur, that for them to connect with us so we can provide the resources needed, for that student, and also being able to make sure we're providing a safe environment. So we need each other, and we work really well together. And from the assignment that Chief Bryant was mentioning, the Joint Patrol, because we do have over 60,000 students, and they live all throughout the city, and so it's important that we have that relationship.
I'll give you one more example. What people may not realize is just 3 months ago, the collaboration between these three agencies to deal with the campus crime issues that were pervasive. Highway Patrol was intricately involved in working that detail because everybody's got limited resources, and I think the thing that we realize as a profession is that we can't work in silos. We have to be collaborative in spirit, and that's critically important to all three agencies. And as Chief said, it's a city within a city. We are a statewide agency, but we have a contingent here that is able to be a force multiplier for everyone.
And you talked briefly about your hiring. If you could share with us, what challenges do you face in hiring, and what exactly is your plan when you say that you're looking to hire right now?
We are always recruiting. When it comes to the Highway Patrol, one of the biggest challenges right now is the recruitment and retention. With everything that's happened and just with how you start classes of people, an average Highway Patrol class might be 70 people. If you imagine, we're starting 2 classes each year. Those people are on the same trajectory to retire at some point. So you can plan for what you need to replenish those that may walk out of the door. One of the other issues is pay right now. We are not as well paid as some of the municipal agencies, but we bring a lot of other things to the table that are intangible, such as take-home cars. We pay for all of your dry cleaning. There are all kinds of things that are part of that package that we try to get people to think about outside of the pay issue. They're well paid, but we fall off behind.
Would either of you like to put in a plug for your hiring?
Yeah, we're hiring as well. We are very much hiring, and we pay our officers well, but even more importantly, we treat our officers well. So I just want to put that out there and let them know that anybody that is interested in joining Columbus Division of Police, you can go on the website. We're hiring. We're also in the process of doing laterals. So we're looking for other agencies that officers might be interested in coming to the Columbus Division of Police. So we know how important that is as well.
In addition, we are also hiring. We are also hiring, but in all seriousness, that is probably one of the most important and critical decisions that we make. The officers that we recruit, the officers that we hire, and the officers that we retain shapes the culture of your agency. At Ohio State University Police Division, we have a different style of policing. Our culture is based around our core values of integrity, diversity, service, innovation, and respect. And so when an applicant comes to the door, I'm looking to see if they can embrace those core values. And will they be able to be successful at our agency? That is what our community is asking for. That is what our students are asking for. And so those are the things that I'm looking. And so if you can resonate with those qualities of innovation, diversity, integrity, service, and respect, come see me. We're hiring.
So do you believe that your current team of officers reflects the communities in which you all serve?
I would say absolutely. In 2020, Columbus Dispatch did a news article, and we were one of the leading agencies as related to diversity. But we're not stopping there. Ohio State is a very diverse campus when you think about nationality, culture, religion, and background. So it's imperative that our agency reflects our community, and that is what we're striving for. I'm very proud to say that we are one of the few agencies currently right now that has 3 women in leadership. My boss is Director Monica Mole, who's a Director of Public Safety. I currently serve as the Chief of Police. Deputy Tracy Hahn, and we just promoted Captain Eric Whiteside. So it's rare that you can have 3 women in a leadership position. And so we are moving forward. We embrace diversity and inclusion, and we want to make sure that our agency represents that.
So we have work to do. We have over 1,900 sworn officers, and we do need more diversity. We also, not just in race, but in gender as well. So we're looking to hire more women. We're looking to hire we want a police department that reflects the community in which we serve. And as Columbus continues to grow, and as the different communities continue to grow, we want to make sure that we're recruiting in those respective communities, because we want to bring people onto the division that grew up in the city of Columbus, that know the city of Columbus, that would be responsive to its residents, that have parents and mothers and brothers and sisters and friends that are from Columbus. So it's important that we go out and we actually we recruit the members, that the residents that live here. But it's also equally important, if they aren't from here, that we also make sure that the officers that we do hire learn about their community, and they should not be meeting residents for the first time on a call for service. That's why we have programs like our community immersion program, where the officers get an opportunity to actually go out and do community service well before they even get to do any type of call for service. So we do know that we have work to do in regards to our diversity. We're working on it. I think that I'm a good first start. First Assistant Chief Potts, she's a good first start. We're there. We're working towards that. We've just promoted another female deputy chief, Deputy Chief Weiner. So we're headed in the right direction, but we do have work to do.
So Chief Bryant, we received a